Hey there. Today's story is simple but carries a quiet twist. Let's dive in. In a quiet valley, cradled by ancient mountains and veiled in mist, stood a monastery older than memory. Its stone walls, worn smooth by centuries of wind and rain, seemed to hum with the quiet pulse of time. Here, 3 monks lived in harmony with the rhythms of the earth and sky. Their names, Amit, Bao, and Chen, were seldom spoken aloud. For in their shared silence, labels felt unnecessary. To the villagers in the distant lowlands, they were simply Monk A, Monk B, and Monk C, guardians of a wisdom as timeless as the mountains themselves. Each day began before dawn. The monks rose in unison, their bare feet padding across cold stone floors to the meditation hall. There they sat cross-legged on frayed reed mats, their breath mingling with the incense curling upward like whispered prayers. After an hour of stillness, they moved to the courtyard, a square of swept earth framed by moss-cloaked statues of long-forgotten saints. The courtyard was the monastery's beating heart, a space where labor and contemplation merged. Amit, the youngest, often lagged behind. His mind, sharp and restless, churned like the river that carved the valley below. One crisp autumn morning, as golden leaves spiraled onto the freshly swept ground, he paused mid-stroke. The bamboo broom in his hands felt heavier than usual. "Why do we sweep the same dirt every day?" he asked, his voice slicing the silence. Bao, sweeping nearby, didn't look up. His movements were methodical, each stroke precise. "To keep it clean," he replied, as if reciting scripture. Amit frowned. "But the wind blows. The trees shed. By dusk, it's as if we never swept at all." Bao shrugged. "And if we stopped, the dirt would bury us." Chen, the eldest of the 3, lingered near the well. He rarely spoke, but when he did, his words carried the weight of the monastery's bell. Amit shook his head. "What's the use of caring if nothing lasts?" Chen smiled, a faint creasing of his weathered face. "Is the spider's web worthless because the rain will destroy it? Or is the weaving itself the purpose?" The question gnawed at Amit long after the chores were done. That evening, as shadows stretched across the courtyard, he climbed the narrow stairs to the abbot's chamber. The old man sat by a window, his hands folded in his lap like 2 withered leaves. "Why do we repeat tasks that bear no lasting fruit?" Amit blurted, his tone sharper than intended. The abbot's lips twitched. "Sit," he said, gesturing to a cushion. Amit obeyed, the scent of sandalwood and aged parchment wrapping around him. "When I was your age," the abbot began, "I resented sweeping too. I dreamed of grand deeds, building bridges, healing the sick, writing treatises. But the monastery demanded simplicity. One day, in my frustration, I swept so fiercely that the broom snapped." He chuckled, the sound like dry reeds. "My master handed me a new broom and said, 'Break this one, and I'll give you another.'" Amit leaned forward. "But what does that asterisk mean?" "It means," the abbot said softly, "that the task is not the enemy. The enemy is the belief that your worth lies in what remains after you're gone." Weeks passed. Autumn deepened, painting the valley in amber and scarlet. Amit swept with a simmering resolve, his eyes lingering on the ever-returning leaves. That day, he swept slower. He observed the way sunlight dappled the stones at noon, how the broom's bristles traced patterns in the dust like calligraphy. When a gust of wind undid his work, he laughed, a bright, unexpected sound that startled a sparrow from the eaves. Chen noticed the change. "You see it now," he said, not a question. Amit nodded. The courtyard isn't a problem to solve. It's a conversation. Winter came, draping the monastery in snow. The monks shifted their labor, chopping wood, mending robes, melting ice for tea. Yet even in stillness, the lesson lingered. One night, during a blizzard, the monastery's goat wandered into the storm. Amit volunteered to retrieve her. The path was treacherous, the wind biting. Yet as he trudged through the white void, he felt an odd serenity. He realized, is sweeping 2-star. Years later, long after the abbot had passed and Chen's steps had grown slow, Amit found himself mentoring a new novice. The boy, bright-eyed and impatient, scowled at the broom in his hands. Why must we sweep what the wind will dirty again? Amit's smile mirrored Chen's. Let me tell you a story. The monastery still stands. The cedars whisper, the river sings, and 3 monks sweep the courtyard. The work never ends, but perhaps it was never meant to.